Hey friends, Donna Amidon here, spiritual fitness coach at Back to the Bible, and with me I have Kate and Justus. They are also spiritual fitness coaches. You have seen them on the camera teaching, but now we get to meet them and unpack a little bit about what they're talking about as we go through our series called 9 Qualities to Help You Reach Your World. And I don't know about you, but I am loving this series. Justus, you talked about prayer. Kate, you've talked about knowledge. And so I just want to start with prayer because I think that is the perfect place to start when we think about evangelism. Why is that so important, Justus? Can you share that?
Yeah, and I think about my own experience and my own. I have doubts. Can I do this? Am I capable of doing this? And how do I do this? You know what? And so to me, that's why I feel like prayer is so important, because it's that opportunity to check in with God and to say, okay, God, I trust you. Fill me with your Spirit to guide me in this interaction. And I think at first I may have, started to look at it as, oh, I better talk to God about this. And now I've started to look at and understand more of it as, oh, why would I not talk to the Almighty, all-knowing God in this interaction? Yes. So that's why I think it's really important.
I love that point. He's all powerful. He has their hearts in his hands. And so, of course, we need to talk to him. Why would we not? It also takes the pressure off, doesn't it? So in your teaching, you also talked about 1 Timothy 2:4 that says that God desires all men to be saved. And I think that is such a powerful, powerful truth that we often forget. Can you tell us why that's so important?
Yeah, I think a lot of times we can just kind of go through the motions in, day-to-day stuff. I walk past someone, on the sidewalk. I pass by someone in the grocery store, or maybe I have a positive, or maybe it's a negative interaction with a person. And really what I think it does is, and what I need constant reminders of is perspective of, man, this is a person that's a child of God. And when I can think of it through that lens, man, how much more am I drawn to them in love? How much more do I want to share good news with them, share with them about Jesus? Because God's heart is not just for me, it's for all people, yes, like that verse says. So. And
what I'm hearing you say is that as you pray, you're getting God's heart for that person. Because a lot of times, let's face it, we live distracted lives, and we can just kind of go throughout our day and forget that each person that we're interacting with is someone that God passionately wants as a part of his kingdom. So thank you for sharing that. And I know we could talk so much more about prayer, but I do want to transition to Kate and knowledge. Kate, I know you finished your doctorate, is that right? So she is a woman of knowledge, and she has a passion for it. I have a passion for it as well. Why is it so important that we don't forget about knowledge when we share our faith with people?
So whatever you're talking about, you want to be knowledgeable about it. And for Christians, the most important thing for us is God, is the Bible, God's word to us. We should be knowledgeable about those things. And that comes out in our conversation. So if we don't know what we're talking about, the person's going to see it's like we don't care about what we're talking about, and we don't want that to be the case.
Right.
So it's important to make sure we know what we're talking about when we are speaking about God, when we're speaking about the Bible.
Absolutely. And I think as I talk to people, I don't know if you all feel this way too, but I think that lack of knowledge that people feel like they have kind of holds them back, because they think, well, what if I'm asked a question that I don't know the answer to? How would you encourage that person who feels a little insecure in their biblical knowledge?
Yeah, that's kind of what got me started on my lengthy scholarly journey, I guess you would say. I felt like I needed to know more, in seminary and further. That seemed like the way to do it, but that's not for everyone. So I would suggest getting a commentary, just a broad commentary is really helpful. If you have a question about the Bible, you can see what that commentary says. There are lots of online resources you can explore. There are even just your pastor at your local church if you have a question, or questions throughout the week as you're reading the Bible. But I think overall you should just read the Bible.
Yes.
It will answer a lot of your questions for you as you read and as you get more familiar with the text.
Yeah, and you're right. There are so many resources out there. We can go to different websites and just look for those answers too. And I think sometimes when we talk to people, I like to just really be honest and acknowledge, hey, that's a really good question, and I honestly don't have the answer. And I think that kind of breaks down some walls, like, oh, I know all the answers, and you don't. So, while it is important to have knowledge, and in your script, I loved it, and you talked about this idea of conversational chess. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so I'm not a chess player,
no,
but I know the good chess players, that's the idea of chess. You predict what your opponent is going to do. What if they go this way? Well, then I'll do this. Well, if they do this, I'll do this other thing. And that is, for me especially, I'm not great at live action conversation.
Okay.
I think of all the answers after the conversation's over. So that's a helpful tactic for me. If I think, well, if the person asks this question, I would say this. If they take the conversation more this way, I'll prepare this answer. And it just kind of helps you have the conversation in your mind, have different ideas of where it could go, and be more prepared with answers.
Yeah, and I see how prayer and this knowledge kind of works together, because as you're preparing and doing this conversational chess, you can do so with an attitude of prayer. Say, God, just help me to know where their heart is and what they may bring up. So, Kate, I have one more question for you. I loved how you talked about how we need to be knowledgeable about the Word, but you also brought up how we need to be knowledgeable about that person that we're talking to. Why is that so important? How do we do that?
I think it helps, kind of what I said before, if you know what the person's thinking about, if you know more about them, if you know they might not see the Bible as relating to their life, but you know it does, it can help you when you're talking to them. So if you know the questions they have, if you know how they think, if you know, just more about the person, the better it can be for you relating the Bible to their life. Because they might not can do that on their own, but it's your job to show them how God is in their life, how they need God in their life, how the Bible relates to their life.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point, because people kind of think of the Bible as this antiquated document from thousands of years ago, but for you to open their eyes and show them, hey, this is God's love letter to you, and there's life and liberty and peace and salvation in it. I mean, that's the most powerful thing we can do for someone, next to bringing them to saving faith, obviously. So thank you, Kate, for that message on knowledge. And Justus, I think I want to end with you today. We'll circle back to prayer. And in your script, you gave us specific ways we can pray for people, because sometimes I think we just are very general, God save this person. But can you close us out with some of those specific things you suggested?
Yeah, well, and I think just thanks, Kate, for your thoughts, because I think it goes so long, it goes so long with what you had to say about knowing the person, right? Because we could stop short at, all right, God save this person, and then that kind of leaves my role out of it. And of course, God is the one who's saving, but it's, as ambassadors for Christ, we do play a pivotal role in that. And so I think it's so important to know them and to know, not just pray for God to intercede in that, but know, again, who they are. God be with them as they, in their job, or, as they start to reveal more to you about if they have a family member who's sick or something that's stressing them out. We want to get to know them on a relational level, and again, just to love them and pour into them. And so I think then through that, those things will start coming up in the conversation, and then you can say, God, be with their job, be with that tough relationship that's going on. And then I think that gives us more opportunities then later to check back in and say, hey, I've been praying for you about this. How's this been going? So,
Justus, that is so important, and I'm glad you brought that up. And something I feel like the Lord's been showing me lately is to pray with specificity. Very hard to say, but a great way to pray, because we can know what that person's going through, how we can pray for them specifically, and then bring that to God. Intercede for them, go before the throne with confidence, because God truly desires all men to come to repentance. So thank you, Kate. Thank you, Justus, for coming on. I hope, friends, that you are enjoying this series as much as I am. We are learning, we are equipping ourselves on how to share our faith with this world. It is the Great Commission. It brings meaning to the mundane. And so we hope and pray you are enjoying this. Leave a comment below. Let us know what God's speaking to you, and we will see you next time. God bless.